Hello, divine beings. Welcome back. This is chapter 2, and I'm reading the 5 stages of grief from my book, Journey from the Ego to the Heart Center. So, this is another heavy chapter. Trigger warning. I'm going to talk a bit about grief. When I look back to 2012 and what I experienced after the funeral, and after we went back on our daily lives, I remember there was this feeling of emptiness. I remember feeling numb. I remember feeling like I've just checked out. I literally checked out. And I had 2 young children at the time. My son would have been in grade prep, so that's 6, and my daughter was 2.5. And I remember as a mother, I just didn't take photos as much. I don't remember taking many pictures because I just couldn't find those key moments of joy. And I remember going back to work and it was just like a daze. It was just like Groundhog Day. Like I'd get up, drop them off at childcare, go to work, do my hours, come home, pick them up. I was just on autopilot. I wasn't able to feel joy and laugh. Like I'd have small bouts of it, but it wasn't what I was like, the former version of me. Little did I know that I was actually about to go through the 5 stages of grief, and that was quite an ugly stage for myself. I remember going through anger. I had anger towards the doctor and the misdiagnosis, and I was upset with my parents. Why didn't they get a second opinion? I remember just like it was this repeated dialogue I was having in my head. Then I remember I was sort of like bargaining, like, oh, if only I knew, I could have gotten on to different medication for her. We could have gone down a different timeline. And then I just kept like replaying key moments. Why didn't I pick up on that? Like, how did I not know that she had this going on for her? How did she keep it so secretive all this time? And then I remember depression. Depression hit me hard. And I'm quite a joyful person by nature. So I was able to mask it. Not many people knew it, but I was depressed most of the time. And I remember just days like it was a blur, and I would just avoid the first Mother's Day, her first birthday. I remember crying. I remember the first Christmas. I didn't want to enjoy it. I just totally checked out. And I remember this just feeling a lot of flatness, like I don't want to do this. It's hard to see that version because I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for that version of Suzanne that didn't seek help. I remember I was really snappy and resentful, and as a mum, that's not fun, being a dragon and taking it out on your kids. It's not good. I remember just being like having tantrums. It was almost like, I'm sure the neighbours must have heard me. I had a loud voice. I had speakers. And, I look back on that version of me and I just go, wow, she was messed up. And she hid it so well. This book helped a lot. Rita Rogers, Learning to Live Again. I liked this book because there was lots of other stories of other people who expressed how it was like to lose a child, to lose a loved one, to lose their mother. And so when I read that, it gave me comfort, gave me hope. But chapter 2 is hard. I was very disconnected, and it took me a while to get out of that headspace, probably 12 months, I'd say. So I don't have a lot of memory. It's a bit of a blur. The one thing I am grateful for is that my mother-in-law was living with us at the time, because we were doing renovations on her home. So I think that's the only thing that got me through it. Knowing that if I just couldn't make a meal, or I just didn't want to play with the children, she was there to take over, to step in. And I think things happen for a reason, because we were also grieving the previous year that my father-in-law had passed away. So we'd had 2 years back to back of losing key family members. So that's a lot on someone. So yeah, it wasn't a fun year, 2012, and that led into 2013. But once again, I needed to write about that chapter because I had hit rock bottom. And again, it's the death of my own spiritual ego. My ego had to go through its own death because it's going to now rise up in the later chapters, and you'll see it does get better. So I apologize if it's quite confronting, but I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm just expressing myself authentically, because that's what I'm about. So that is chapter 2. Hopefully chapter 3 I can be in more smiles, and I will have more to tell you, because it does get better. So hang in there. But this is chapter 2. 5 stages of grief, not easy. But what I've learned is that I can hold space now for someone else going through it, because I know what it feels like. So that is chapter 2 from my new book, Journey from the Ego to the Heart Center. I do have a little bit of a reflection. Let me find it. Let's have a look here. Ah, yes, it is. Grief, I've learned, is just love. It's all the love you want to give but cannot. All that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lump in your throat, and the hollow part of your chest. I added that quote from Chloe Latanzi. She's the daughter of Olivia Newton-John, and I think she perfectly sums it up. But for me, I actually feel that I now have learnt that grief is an important part of letting go of our loved ones so they can rest in peace, knowing we love them unconditionally. And now we'll set them free physically so we can enjoy their eternal presence in our lives in a non-physical way. Chapter 2 is done. Bye for now.